Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. One of the things that people have been asking me quite a bit is to revisit the Stalingrad. Now, Stalingrad is a supercruiser, and I'm not particularly fond of supercruisers. So, given that my original review is quite a while ago, and I figured I'd give it another spin and see what a difference it makes if we max out the Stalingrad versus a more conventional, what you would expect from somebody who fishes it out from a crate sort of setup. So here is the Stalingrad. And Stalingrad obviously gets the main battery firing range, because the ship's all about range. And the Stalingrad gets the historical camo, which gives hit points, range, and dispersion, which is what we care about. The Stalingrad also gets actually the gold repair and damage control, because we're putting everything we can possibly find in here. The setup, I think, is still the same that I had previously. I'm going with the main battery mod 1, and the reason for that will become apparent, and a standard maneuverability setup. I have put Gorshkov in as a captain, not Kuznetsov, for a reason, I guess. For once, he's having an improved marksman skill. I could use the fire supremacy for an additional precise aim, but I'm also using his battlefield support. That would be a skill you'd be really finding on the Moskva, because the Moskva actually has the radar. So it makes sense if you're swapping between these ships. He gets a better AA defense. He gets the better exploit weakness. He's a bit of an HE captain, so he gets the improved inertia fuse high explosive, which does not make an awful lot of sense in my opinion, because what you really want on this ship, and this was one of the things that I did not like about the Stalingrad initially, the guns were, just like on the Moskva, kind of okay, but they weren't shining. And with the APCS, that becomes a whole different ballpark. Other than that, I do have the increased adrenaline rush, because, well, he gets the legendary skill. Otherwise, you would normally use the extinguisher. And that is the setup. Now, the Stalingrad, if you're not aware of this ship, actually, let's have a very brief comparison between the Stalingrad and the Moskva, the other tier 10 premium supercruiser, because they are technically the same ship, although the Stalingrad is a lot bigger in game. Stalingrad, same hull, lack of armor, so this is something to be aware of. You do have a pretty decent hit point pool, but you don't have an awful lot of armor on this ship, so she does eat her citadels, and she's not quite as maneuverable as the Moskva. She does, however, get 305mm guns on this ship with an almost 14-kilometer range, and these 305s with the APCS can actually hit reasonably hard. But just like the Moskva, you get battleship turret traverse. That's where the module came in. Now, she gets slightly better secondaries, but honestly, you don't really use those very much, and she does get a significantly better AA than the Moskva as well. If we compare her to the Petro, and as you know, I really don't like the Petro. Stalingrad, obviously a lot more hit points. She's not as well armored as the Petro, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I find myself not playing the Stalingrad the same way that I do play the Petro. I play this thing more mobile, because she does have a better maneuverability. Not by an awful lot, but at least she is faster than the Petropavlovsk. So you're not as tempted to play this like a battleship. This is really like a very, very, very large cruiser that you're ending up with here. So, maxed out Stalingrad. You do have a very decent amount of hit points to work with. You do have a pretty good range, and with the APCS, the 305s actually work really reasonably well. Now let's get into some gameplay and see if it's worth it if you put everything you can possibly find onto that ship. The first battle is a very typical map. It's Encounter, and obviously it's a tier 10 game. we are going against Monty, Yamato, Izumo, a Smolensk, Baltimore, Somers, and an Östergötland. So very good mix. The Stalingrad is not a destroyer killer. The same way that, for example, the Moskva can do this at long range with the 220s, because especially with the APCS, the Stalingrad's armor piercing 305mm is just going to overpenetrate. The sweet spot, if you've seen the Roden Liu review, is sort of with that caliber, because those guns can very much full penetrate destroyers at ranges easily. Stalingrad, not so much, especially not with the APCS, tends to overpenetrate. On the other hand, without the APCS, you're really not doing an awful lot against battleships, I find. And with APCS, it's just like in the Moskva, it's a very, very different story altogether. So long range super cruiser. Okay, we're checking our left flank here, and we have a Yugomo scouting on our side, but there's Baltimore and I think it was Monty. So we don't want to get too far ahead because the Yugomo is smoking up, obviously, with the Baltimore around. I would love to get some shots into the Baltimore, but he is already going defensive. So I'm going to see what I can do. But Yamato and Montana still there, and obviously with the relatively poor armor, you do have to watch out, just like in the Moskva. You do have a very large hit pool because it is a massive ship, but definitely keeping your distance and making sure you're not exposing too much. Okay, so Baltimore, a primary target, very dangerous cruiser. And even if it's just a tier 9, especially for our destroyer. So we're going to see if we can get that sorted out, because then we can start working together on the Montana and whatever else is out here. But for now, Smolensk would be nice to see. For now, it's just a gun duel between me and Baltimore, and that is obviously a duel that I'm winning. So unless some of the battleships are going to join in, that should work out relatively well for me. But Montana is starting to make a move and is now shooting at me as well. So I do need to get out of here, because yes, that is the lack of armor that you're having. And at a ship that size, at that range, a Monty is perfectly capable of hitting. So I need to back off. Fortunately, Yamato is behind an island, so he can't shoot at me. But unfortunately, I can't also finish off the Baltimore. Meanwhile, Yugomo is relocating, doesn't want to fight the Baltimore. That leaves that one battleship on our side here, that Izumo over there, who for some reason is giving broadside. I mean, most of your guns are pointing forward. What are you giving broadside for? Anyway, so it leaves him alone. Now, Montana doesn't want to come any closer, and Izumo is shooting at Monty, so I'm going to open up the range, because this is one of those ships that, just like the Moskva, you really need to play at range. Yamato is flooding over there, and it seems like he's coming out as well. We have lost one of our destroyers so far. I think got torpedoed. And there comes the Baltimore again. So once again, ideally priority target would be the Baltimore, but once again the Baltimore is playing that smart. He's not giving a lot of broadside, and he is going defensive behind his own battleship. So given that I am currently trying to, well, sort of disengage, it's just Izumo and myself against Montana and Yamato, and that's not a great fight. So we do need to open up a little bit further and heal up a little bit and get some more hit points back. Now, these are still just 305mm guns. You're not going to score one citadel after the other on actual battleships. But Izumo, why are you fully broadsiding a Yamato and a Monty? That is not going to end well. Okay, so it looks like we will be focusing on the Yamato for now. So I'm going to just try to concentrate fire and remove one set of guns from... and yeah, that's the Izumo smacked, deservedly so, right into the side. So we'll try to remove one set of guns. So we can get rid of the Yamato. That is one set of very big guns that we don't have to worry about anymore. And Izumo is disengaging here. We're already 3 ships down. We haven't killed a single ship yet. My goodness. But that might be a kill on the Yamato, if I can get some good penetrations. It is a bit RNG heavy. But now Yamato is still up, but and Östergötland is coming around as well. Okay, so I need to work with the Östergötland here and see if I can save one of our battleships that is remaining. At least we've got the Yamato down. Definitely switch to the high explosive because the AP is just going to overpenetrate at that caliber. And I'm backing off now, nose in towards the Montana, which is the biggest threat. I'm not super afraid of Östergötland because his torpedoes don't have a massive alpha strike, but still I prefer not taking all of them, because once again the ship does not have an awful lot of armor. So I'm just healing out that fire damage, and whatever else is happening while my heal is running. So I get, unfortunately, one of my turrets taken out, but the Östergötland is running relatively low, and there was some crossfire, but now my team is mostly dead, and so far only the Yamato that I killed. Make that 2, scratch 1 Östergötland. Now obviously I am coming under fire from Monty and from Baltimore. I would love to take out the Baltimore, but once again the Baltimore is playing it smart, going bow in. It's making it relatively difficult to see if he's going forward or backwards. You can see it on the wave on the bow, but I'm back on the armor piercing. I am going to have to stay nose in towards the Monty, but unfortunately the lack of armor on this ship also means that, and there comes the Smolensk as well, means that there's really not. She takes a lot of AP damage even from heavy cruisers. Okay, given that. There's only 2 of us left. What I'm going to try and do is I'm trying to do the God's work and get rid of that Smolensk. That's just just because. I mean, we've lost this. I'm the last ship alive, and the only 2 ships that have been sunk in this battle have been sunk by me. So let's see if we can still take the Smolensk down. Yes, we can. That is a satisfying moment. That makes 3 ships killed. And hang on, did I take down the Yama? No, actually I just took 2 of them. Okay. But yeah, Smolensk, unsurprisingly, takes the MVP. And but still, you can kind of do good things in this ship at as long as you stay at long range, and you can do a very surprising amount of damage with these guns with the armor piercing. Let's get into a second one. Our second battle turns out to be a 4v4, because once again matchmaking decided to wait 5 seconds and then throw 3 bots into each team. It is domination on Fry's Lantern, and especially with this amount of bots, it's kind of tempting to, go cup. But we are up against Yamato, Colombo, and double Shima. So that does not bode well for us. We need to stay at range. As much as it pains me, because I like controlling capture circles, but we don't have the utility to take on a Shimakaze. We have no radar like we would have in a Moskva. And we don't have the rate of fire to necessarily deal with a Shima that is rushing and knows what they're doing. So what we're going to do is something that I personally don't like particularly, but something that these, especially the extremely precise Soviet cruisers are very, very good at, which is we're staying at range. So I am moving a little bit forward, but as you can see, from here, I can actually cover all of A and C Cup. So we get behind that island there, use that as a bit of cover, and the Stalingrad is a very quick ship. So you got to be careful not to rush ahead too far. But this is a good position. From here on, I can let the bots go first, and we'll clean out the bots, and then it'll come down to the 4v4. And we'll see how fair things are at the end. But we're going to let that bot Iowa go first. Just get our guns on target and stay defensive against whatever comes through that capture circle. Okay, there is the bot Iowa. So we're going to start opening up on that thing. And like I said, she is a nice and precise ship. Not quite as precise as the Moskva, but with the APCS, yeah, you can do that to an Iowa. So that is satisfying to see. I'm not quite sure where the Shimas are yet, but with a precise aim on, even at that range, I can get a decent amount of shells on target. Okay, we know that both Shimas are central. Sorry, that one Shima is central and the other Shima is over there. So obviously I'm going to try and target the Shima. And at this long range, AP might be full penning on Shima. No, not quite. And if I'm going to start targeting him, I may have to start switching to the high explosive. But we're going to get a second salvo out at Shima. There comes one Shima salvo. Okay, he's dodged that one. There comes one Shima salvo. Not sure which one that was. It might have been him, honestly. But now he's engaging the bots, and this is always a good time when you see players engaging bots to do something about it. But yeah, as you can see, the AP is just plain over-penetrated. And now the bot Iowa is coming around. So let's finish that thing off on the quick and make that scratch one bot. The Shimakaze has taken some damage, but now that I'm fighting that thing, and he is coming around, he's not going behind the island, I am going to have to switch to the high explosive. So I'm rushing forward towards Tsushima. He is definitely targeting me. So ship full on in reverse and high explosive salvo in the side, and that leaves a bit more of a scratch. It's still not quite as punchy as it would be, let's say, in an Italian ship, but it's enough to deter Shima from coming any closer. And over there is the Cristoforo Colombo, so we definitely need to back up again. And that should be an ex-Shima. Yeah, the Halland takes out the Shimakaze. Nice. That's our first player kill of the battle. So, no, it wasn't the Colombo, it was the Yamato. Sorry for that. I thought it was... I've seen the Colombo there for a second. So, HE out at the Yamato, but... the reason I'm sticking with the HE here is not because it would be in any way better. It's because I've got a Swedish destroyer with me here, and Swedish destroyers are very good at setting floods. So I'm trying to bait a damage control here, such that he will get a perma-flood out of these torpedoes. But unfortunately, RNG says nope, and my shells do not seem to be causing a fire. So there come the torpedoes. He's also not getting a flood. Now he's getting fire, and he damage controls the single fire. But unfortunately, now the Soviet dispersion and shell arc is kind of against me here, because I can't shoot through that thing like I could say in a Worcester. I could just lob over it and just burn the Yamato to the ground. Can't do that in this ship, so back to the armor piercing we go. We're 4v4, 3 minutes left of the battle. We are holding 2 capture circles. There's a bot gearing, so let's get that thing sorted out while the Yamato has taken himself practically out of the battle for well, at least until he's gone around. Okay, there is the Cristoforo Colombo. I thought I've seen him somewhere here. And we need to clean up that bot. So once again, armor piercing is just going to over-penetrate. Back to the high explosive. There come some Halland torps. And I know bots are kind of inglorious, but they are setting fires, as you can see, and they're just distracting people. So, okay, we are holding 2 of the 3 capture circles with 3v3, and we are identical on points. There's Yamato behind me. Yamato fires at Halland, and Halland is damn lucky that he had the armor piercing loaded, because I think that would have been a dead Halland. And there's a Cristoforo Colombo in front of me. Oh dear. He is perma-flooding. That's the good news. The bad news is there's a Cristoforo Colombo right in front of me, and he's looking right at me, and I have no armor. So there's only one way to go, and that's forward. Fortunately, his main turrets are... I don't know where his main turrets are turned, but I'm going to try and outflank him here. And he fires armor piercing, but not at me for some reason. So it looks like he's perceived the Halland as the larger threat. We should have been firing semi-armor piercing, but now I'm going to outflank him. And he's never going to get the turrets rotated around. But I think he is hell-bent on... Probably the Halland flooded him earlier, so he's hell-bent on getting revenge. But let's see if I can save the Halland. There comes the armor piercing. That's a dead Halland, but Citadel the Colombo in return, and that's a dead Colombo. Which leaves us ahead on points, but even on kills. Now it's just me versus Yama. I don't want to get anywhere near Yamato. And we will have to fight this at range. So once again, I'm going defensive. Destroyer is behind me, and I don't know, he might be able to take out that battleship still. We are still holding 2 of the 3 capture circles, and that destroyer is in no position to cap anytime soon. So as long as we're staying alive, we have this. So there's Shimakaze, relatively low hit points, but the battleship on our side seems to be disengaging, and Shimakaze is engaging the battleship because he just got the big caliber. I don't know if that was a flood or if that was a fire. But he's coming towards B-Cup now, so I can't back off forever here and keep the distance open between me and Yamato. All we have to do is not both die. The thing is, I don't know how well that battleship's looking on our side. So I do have to go forward now, because there might be Shima torps in the water, and once again, I don't have the utility to tell. But I mean, look at the match that I've been having with that Yamato here, who is trying to close the distance instead of fighting me at long range and getting all his guns on target. I haven't done badly against the Yamato. So this is a risky turn, but I think I have enough hit points to sustain this. Another salvo in. No lucky citadels on his side, and that's a couple more shots. Maybe I can get him. Nah, he survives on no health whatsoever. But we're still winning that, and we've still done 100,000 points of damage. So, yes, absolutely. If you put the APCS into the Stalingrad, and I don't usually recommend the premium heals, but it does make a difference, especially on a ship like this that has an actually a relatively large hit point pool. I mean, that thing's got 50,000 hit points. For a cruiser, that's pretty decent. So you can absolutely be successful in the ship. You do have to play a bit at range, especially at the onset, and you have to be careful with destroyers because you have nothing to defend yourself from rushing destroyers, and you don't really have the maneuverability to outplay them easily. But battleships still are your biggest threat, and carriers, obviously. Even though you do have AA, it's nowhere near good enough to defend yourself on your own against a carrier. But play the ship smart, play with the environment, play it at range if you can. And the guns can actually, with the APCS skill, be quite fun. So that is the maxed out Stalingrad. Particular playstyle, still not my favorite. Still, you can do some interesting things in it. And that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.